Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jody Luke, and I'm the executive director of Love Does. And today we're in the studio with not just one, but two guests. So this is a first for us. But before we jump in, I thought I'd give a little background on what we're going to be talking about today. I was doing some research and I found some statistics that indicate that there are 10 million single parent families. And over 80% of them are led by women, so single moms. So single moms and their kids, which provides just a tremendous challenge to not only the moms and the kids as they're growing up, but sometimes when we hear some of those stories, us as a society and even as an individual, we think, oh, well, what can we do? And are we supposed to do anything? It can sometimes feel paralyzing. Mm-hmm. Well, Love Does cares for the vulnerable, fights for human rights, and provides education in conflict zones. And in our DNA is doing. It's Love Does. Mm-hmm. And we don't easily get paralyzed. Love Does commits to action, even when the obstacles seem overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And so we just jumped right in. We started the Love Does Home, which is a home for single moms and their babies to further their education and provide a safe and supportive environment to pursue their dreams. And then we went deep, but we also went wide. And we said, hey, how can we do a further outreach to the community? And so we started a life skills class on an array of topics that creates community in that. Around financial literacy and nutrition and parenting and first aid, you name it. And then we also launched the Love Does Boutique, which is a place where single moms can shop for free. And they also have some access to additional food and diaper resources. Mm-hmm. This project has been particularly special to me. And I think sometimes God places stuff on your heart early in your life and you don't quite know why. And sometimes it's frustrating as you wait. Early in my 20s, I had the opportunity to walk with teenagers, and a couple of them became pregnant. And it felt like an absolute crisis. Dreams were dashed. There was more tears than I can even imagine happening during that time. And yet, when I saw a caring and supportive community come around those girls, what ended up happening was actually really beautiful. Mm-hmm. No matter what the response was to whatever alternative they were going to take, it ended up being something that it was redemptive, it was full of hope, and there was even some joy in it. And so fast forward a couple decades later, I'm sitting in my Love Does office, and I remember Bob came in. Bob Goff is the founder of Love Does, and he said, Jody, what if we did something with teen moms? What do you think about that? And it was like, ding, 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 ding. It was like a dot to dot where 100 dots were connected at the same time, and my heart just exploded. And I just went, I don't even know that we talked about it much. I just jumped right in. And immediately, very, very quickly, I thought of calling the both of you. And so I'm just so glad that you said yes. So today on the podcast, we have Kristin Dreesen, and she has given the last many years of her life to supporting teen moms and single moms, and then also my longtime dear friend, Suzy Ornee, and people call her Sweet Suzy. And when she teamed up with Sweet Maria, it was like Sweet Squared, and they're both incredibly talented at creating beautiful spaces. And then she also oversees and helped launch our Love Does Boutique. So I'm excited to talk about all of these things on today's podcast. So welcome, ladies.
Thanks, friend. Yeah, super excited to be here.
So Kristin, tell us why you've given so many years of your life to supporting teen moms and single moms.
Man, these young women are incredible. First of all, I showed up at a Young Lives club probably 15 years ago and thought I was going to be crawling around on the floor playing with babies, and fell in love with their moms. I didn't have anything really in common other than the fact that I was a mom, and I know momming is really hard. So when I saw their generosity, when I saw how they come together in community and support each other, they have so little and yet they share everything. And I think God has always placed in my heart to fight for the vulnerable, fight for the underdog. So, which is why it's super great to be on board here. But I love them. They have become some of my dearest friends and my biggest heroes. Mm-hmm. So it's been this journey has been this culmination of, I think, watching God do what I've been trying to put on these moms, like God has done exponentially in my heart through them. So they have just shown me God's grace, I think, all along. And it's been really sweet and beautiful.
It's been beautiful to watch. You do it for so many years. And you're not just a mom, but you're also a grandma.
I'm a nana. Yeah.
To twins.
Yep.
So that's a whole deal. But immediately I had called you, and it was no easy call. I said, hey, could you help me launch this endeavor with Love Does? And right away we needed to find a house. Mm-hmm. And that was more difficult than you might imagine, because there's not that many landlords that want to rent to teen moms or single moms and babies. But what came of it was really a beautiful story. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the San Diego market is tricky. And so trying to rent a house is like, you can fit them all in your hand. And I remember getting so frustrated, and one day just praying, Lord, help us to find a house that either no one is interested in or nobody wants or knows about. Because every time I went on Zillow, there had been, it could be a house that was just listed that morning, and there would already be 50 views and 25 applications, and people hadn't even seen them. They're willing to put an application on a home they haven't even seen. So the very next day, I found this home on Zillow in an area not far from me, and it was a brand new build. And I thought, there aren't any new houses over there. So I drove by, and then the next day I went to see it, and it was unfinished. And the manager looked at me and said, so why are you moving? And then I had to come clean and tell him what we were doing, because I knew that no one wanted to rent to an organization. That had been the problem all along. And I told him what we were doing, that we were going to house single moms and help them have a safe place to get some education and hopefully like elevate them out of the poverty level. And he shared this story of his own family member doing that for another family member. And I just remember getting goosebumps and thinking, this could be the place. And I went to send you the link, and it was nowhere on Zillow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I thought, is he already taken it off? It was like this phantom Zillow. And I found it down the street, and it was listed for the apartment, but the house price. So it was like a mix up, but that's not what I had seen. So it was just God providing.
It was a God
moment where he just provided what we needed exactly when we needed it.
And we found that over and over with this.
Oh, yes.
You know, sometimes you launch an initiative and then God really blesses it and brings people all over the place to jump in. And we saw that with our house manager pretty quickly after. Melissa, who was a nurse during COVID and really wanted to go have a deeper relationship with women and children. And she's been just outstanding. And it makes me think of that Frederick Buechner quote that says that God calls you to the place where your deep gladness meets the world's most profound needs. And so Suzy, good. I think about you, and I think how gifted you are in creating beautiful spaces. And you teamed up with Maria. Can you tell us a little bit about how you decorated the home that we eventually signed the lease for, and made that not just a house, but a home?
Great question, Jode. Well, I think it was pretty amazing that we got a home that was a little bit of a clean slate, that we could walk in. And I'm a big proponent of walking in, and I pray through a house. And I first just asked the Lord, like, what do you want for this space? And then we start learning a little bit about who it's for. And we start learning a little bit more about just kind of saying, what do these girls need? And when you start thinking about different places, wherever you're decorating, you start thinking about, okay, these girls need to feel warm and they need to feel safe. And what are the textiles and what are the colors that we can bring into a home to make them feel warm and safe? And I think we created that. Maria is unbelievably talented, and she and I together, that was our goal, was to make them feel extravagantly loved. So don't do it average, do it excellent.
And you did that.
Yes.
It is absolutely gorgeous. And Maria is Maria Goff, who is the wife of Bob Goff, who's the founder of Love Does. And you all you really are a dynamic duo when and what you've created really is a beautiful space. So then we had this space and we needed to fill it.
Yeah.
And so we get the word out, and what ensued was actually heartbreaking because there was over 100 applications for a very small amount of girls that could live, or women that could live in this house with their babies. And it just speaks to how difficult housing is. And if you don't have a place to stay, especially if you're a single mom with kids, it can be a really challenging and sometimes even dangerous place.
Yeah.
It leaves you no choice. How have you seen that with some of the moms that you have been with over the last many years with regard to housing?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think there's the safety aspect, right? Like, they're more susceptible to trafficking. They're more susceptible to abuse, to addictions, manipulative relationships that they live with, whether it's the toxic family or the toxic boyfriend. And everybody dangles housing over their head. And I've even seen adoption have to come from that, that place of, I don't have a place to live, and so I need someplace safe for my baby. And I think of, what if they had a safe place? Like, what if the mom got to parent because she had a safe place to live?
Yes.
Like, it changes everything. And we've really devised it so that they don't work when they're in our home, because we know that moms need to bond with their baby. And if they're working and going to school, they don't have time to bond. And then nobody's getting anything good out of each other. Baby wants mommy, mom wants her own time when they get home. And it creates a lot of chaos. So,
and we had, with one of the moms that ended up coming, you want to describe a little bit about her story and where she was living?
Yeah, she was couch surfing and lived in an environment where, well, she didn't live in any one environment, but her home, if you can call it that, like her family home, she was not allowed to be in. And so she would have to sneak in when stepdad would go to work. And I can't imagine that feeling of, number one, just being displaced, but also just that somebody isn't welcoming me. Like, that's just never been okay with me. Like, I want people to feel welcome. I want people to feel like there's room at the table, put another chair at the table, just, so that just does not work for me.
But what was, I think that, and then she would then go from place to place, and she had a baby at the time, and she would have to keep the baby quiet so they didn't know that she was in a back room. I mean, Suzy, you and I had babies together. It was loud. It was busy. It was, so that took some transition when she moved in, because she wouldn't want to leave, it was hard for even to set her baby down, because she was so used to not being able to have a baby cry because of the housing situation. So, we've been really working through some of those over the last several months. So we've gone deep with these moms, and then we also wanted to go wide. And so we came up with the Love Does boutique. I love that we call it a boutique, because it is. And it makes me think again of what Maria said, that, when you're helping people who need a little help, we don't just give our leftovers. And sometimes that can meet a need, but what's even better is to give our best.
Yes.
And that sometimes that provides for that physical need, but it also translates the intangible, that you're valued, that we believe in you, that you're worth it. And so when you created the Love Does boutique, and as you have been overseeing it, how have you've been thinking about excellence when it comes to that?
I love it that you quoted Maria, because that actually, I've thought about putting that on the wall, because I think that in both the Love Does house and the boutique, that rings through to me in all things, even when people are wanting to donate or whatever. It's like, for these girls who seemingly have nothing, we need to give them our very best. And so we have actually partnered with several amazing organizations, Riley and Crew, Sunbomb, and other organizations that are like, hey, we want to give our very best. And my kids didn't get this beautiful clothes. These clothes are absolutely stunning. And so I think the goal is for us, when a girl or a woman walks up to the boutique, that they would feel extravagant love, that they would feel, as we say, very seen, that we want to know them, and that they would leave feeling extravagantly loved. And I think the fascinating thing for me with the boutique, and I literally every time leave in tears that I get to witness someone come in filled with shame and undeserving, and they leave with their head held high. And I have amazing volunteers that partner with me in making these girls feel that way. So that's what I would say.
What are some of the stories that stick out to you of some of the moms that have been shopping and then they end up really sharing with the volunteers or share with you a little bit about their life?
Absolutely. I mean, there are many, but I would say one is a girl. I would call her a girl because I think she's 18 and she has 3 kids. And her first time coming, she wouldn't look us in the eye. She wouldn't share with us her story. And slowly we would just say, we think that what are their ages? And we would just show her the things that her boys needed. And she has been 3 times. And the second time she came, her head was high. She started sharing the stories of her boys, how they didn't have a home, how they found a home that was off of a couch. And then the third time she came, which was this past Thursday, she shared that they have an apartment. And that the shoes that a local church, they gave us all brand new shoes, probably 45 pairs of shoes. And they are the first shoes that her boys have ever had that were brand new. And so just watching someone go from feeling very unseen to feeling very loved. And there are countless stories, but that is one that when I see her, I literally get tears because I see her countenance has physically changed. So,
well, and that's what I like too, is that people haven't just, we're so grateful for the churches and all the people that have donated. When they donate, we always have an Amazon wish list on our website that people can donate, and they can also share a special message. And what do you do with those messages?
So we take those messages. It was actually quite phenomenal. This past week, we were slammed. We got in probably like some amazing people went on the Amazon wish list and sent us, humidifiers, blankets, jackets. And we take those messages and we tape them on the back of the items that people donate. And sometimes people who donate will write in messages like, hey, we want you to know we love you. We want you to know that we're rooting for you. And we tape them on the back so that when these moms get to go home, they not only feel love from their time there, but then they continue to feel love because they know that there's people around the world who are loving them. I love that. That's one of my most favorite things we do because we say, hey, turn your blanket over. And they're like, oh, it's not just you that likes me.
So if you don't know how to do that, when you on the Amazon wish list, you pick that's a gift, right?
Yes,
and then you get to leave a free gift message.
Yes. Exactly.
I think it's the coolest thing.
I do too.
And I love that you highlight it and that it brings life to that, that it can be something that blesses them for a long time forward, like you said. Switching gears a little bit, education has been central to a lot of what Love does, both abroad and then here. And a prerequisite for any of the girls that are living in our house is that they have to be further in their education because you want them to leave and have a way to build on in a really healthy way and be able to also give a better life for their kids. I was also reading where I think single moms are 25% less likely to go to college and even more less likely to graduate. So the odds are continually stacked up against them. What have you seen with regard to education and single moms and just the importance of it and access to it?
Yeah, I think, we know that it helps them step out of poverty, right? And I think, if anything, it gives them not just education in terms of skills, but confidence, I think is huge. And if you can provide confidence to a young mom, she's going to go exponentially farther. So watching moms, I mean, they get education is free for them to go to community college. Childcare is free for them to go to community college. So there's really no reason for them not to, except there is that burden of feeling like they have to work. And they will work menial jobs where we're making very minimum wage, and not understanding that is actually keeping them from making more in the future, but also even right now, they make more money going to school than they do working a part-time job minimum wage
because of the resources.
Because of the resources and what the state gives them.
Yeah.
Because that takes away when you start working. And it's there that is literally there to launch them up. And so that's what we're trying to do, right? Is to try to kind of like get these wraparound services, as we are one as well, and build them up so that they can move forward in their future, and they're going to be a better parent for it. They're going to be happier. They're going to be happier people, and they're going to be better community citizens and friends, and they're going to be better prepared for that relationship when it comes.
And every state is different with regard to the resources that they offer, but every state has some resources.
Every state has resources.
There are federal resources available within community colleges as well that they can access. And that's something that you have been just instrumental. You are a wealth of knowledge with regard to resources, and it can be hard to navigate them so that they're available, but it's hard because it takes some diligence and persistence. And that's where having people jump in and walk with some of these moms, it's really important to encourage them and to continue to fight for some of the resources that are available, because sometimes they're not as easy as you might think to get them, right?
Right. And teaching them to advocate for themselves and their child. I think that's huge, because they don't have anybody, honestly, they don't have a lot of people in their life advocating for them. And so when we get to be that person that teaches them, that is literally teaching a man to fish. It's the coolest thing, because watching them years later, they're then helping other moms. So they don't just want to do it for them. They have the heart, this lioness heart that says, I want to also provide for my people. And it's just super cool to watch.
Yeah.
So
Man to fish. I don't know
I don't know.
Is it like a woman to lead? A woman to I'm not going to
lead.
That's what I like.
Knit, teaching a woman to knit. I don't know.
More than that. More than that.
No, a shop. Teaching a woman to shop. Man. You can teach a woman to shop and cook.
That's innate.
You are,
but I do love our volunteers for that, because they do come beside them. And Suzy, you work with a lot of the volunteers that come to the Love Does Boutique. A lot of what we do around Love Does internationally, a lot of people will write in and they want to jump in, and it's difficult because we do a lot of stuff internationally. But this is something that we do domestically. And this hasn't been something that people have jumped in with fundraisers. You can do your own fundraising page. We had a wonderful family jump in and help from Arizona. Support through a fundraiser. That was a really beautiful thing, really encouraging to our whole team.
Very encouraging.
But what have you seen within the Love Does Boutique volunteers come and the impact on them?
I love that, because we actually, I think sometimes we have more volunteers than we know what to do with, because they know how impactful it is. And we love volunteers, whether it be for the boutique or whether it be for life skills or whether it be for babysitting for life skills. But I find with the boutique, what we have found is we have one particular volunteer who, what is she, 72? Maybe. And
everybody loves her.
Joy of her life is coming to hold babies as their mamas shop in the boutique. And she said it has been probably the most significant thing she's done in the past 30 years. And she was like, executive. She has a story. And she comes every day in tears, and every day she leaves in tears. But then we also have amazing other people who are very business minded, and they're like, moms show up and they like running through the routine of helping the moms. But I just think what I've seen is there's never been one volunteer that was like, I don't think I'll come back. And so for me, I think it gets under your skin, and you're like, wait, why are we not having the boutique every single week of our lives? And so we have a steady stream of beautiful people who love to be part of beautiful things. And
you made beautiful things this last weekend in decorating the home for Christmas.
Yeah. It was beautiful. So fun.
That was pretty, because that's after hours, and that was pretty special.
They had never had a real tree before. I don't know if any of them ever had a tree before. And so to be able to go in, and that was pretty significant to me, that I had people from all different parts of our lives who just wanted to donate, whether it was a case of ornaments or whether it was we had one of our boutique volunteers donate a whole fake tree to put just in the playroom. And so I think they just felt extravagant. We made cookies, and we had several volunteers that came. One of our best is Ileana, who comes and loves on our team, and she was like, I'm coming, like I'm not missing out. And so it's those moments that make you go, like, sometimes I pinch myself. I can't believe I get to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And this Saturday was one of those moments for me.
Yeah, you sent some pictures. It was
Mhm.
really beautiful.
Yeah.
And we all love beautiful moments, but in all honesty, working with moms, there's also setbacks. It's
Right.
not all just rainbows and unicorns and
Mhm.
Christmas ornaments.
They're
and
prickly.
all sort. When there's trauma and hurt, it isn't all just
Yeah.
one, graph line up
Mhm.
and to the right.
Babies cry.
Babies cry.
Babies cry, and sometimes they cry a lot, and sometimes moms cry or don't cry and probably should cry.
Mhm.
And we've seen some of that even in this last year. So it hasn't been just like success after success. And yet sometimes in the setbacks, that's also a really meaningful, poignant moment in that mom's life to see what they're going to do next. And if they continue to fight through and push through, it can be one of the most important parts to the success story that I know you've seen over a number of years. So working with single moms, teen moms takes time.
Mhm.
Our program is 18 months, so there's enough time to break some of the cycles, but probably not all of the cycles. The education piece is helpful. How have you been encouraged when you've seen moms have setbacks and then push through, and you've been able to see that on the other side?
Right. I think, well, it takes 2 years to grow a pineapple.
Okay.
One fruit, 2 years. So when I think of that, I mean, it's a great fruit. Love pineapple. But it takes a long time to introduce some health. And I always feel like it's a little bit like they've been living underwater for a while. And you can't just turn the ship right side up and expect them to be happy. You have to do it slowly, and you kind of have to dial it measured. And eventually they get used to taking air on their own. And then by the end, years later, they're breathing real air and they know how to live. And so it does take time. But I think what we're doing is we're offering these little, like, in a pool, like if you just tap somebody, you can get them up to the surface. It doesn't take a lot of physical struggle. It's kind of like when you hit the bottom and you bounce back up. And I think what we're doing is we're allowing a lot more opportunity for these moms, lots of moms, to come up for air and to feel safe.
Mm.
And to when they come up for air, they're seeing the edge of the pool, kind of like, I'm not far. And there's somebody at the edge with their hand out for me. So there's literally, like, they know there's people cheering them on. They know that there are people who care for them. And if I could say anything to them, it's don't be afraid to ask for help. To me, that's a sign of maturity.
And not just one time,
They're
but
gonna need
over
it
and over
yeah.
again. It isn't just
And we all need that.
Yes, isn't that the truth? And you know what else I love is that with one of our moms, and I see this also with women around the world, that if you give a woman an opportunity and then she takes it, she'll often crush it, and then she looks at how she wants to give back. And I saw that with one of the moms that is in our house now. We periodically will do a food packing event, and we send 285,000 meals to Somalia and to Dominican Republic and all different places. And when we're doing these events, we'll invite refugees, and we invited our teen moms to come and help, and they did. And one of them had come over, and she was really excited. And she said, I have something to tell you that I just want you to know that whenever I graduate, I want to come back later on in life, and I want to be the house manager of the house. And it just reminds you that generosity encourages generosity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's dignity
so
in
good.
giving.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
giving them back dignity when they have something to offer, which is huge.
But then can't wait to give back.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
help the next person.
Yeah.
So what do you hope for the moms that are in our house? What do you
Mm.
hope for them and their futures? If you could just speak to them.
Yeah, honestly, I want them to know that they have people who care about them. I want them to know that they will always have people on their side, but you have to look for it sometimes. It doesn't always feel like it. And so you have to push through, and you have to find your community. And with this group of moms, man, they are so smart. They don't necessarily think that they are. And so being able to impart that, like, put more potential on them than they have for themselves, I think that's super exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want them to dream big. I want them to dream big. I want them to see themselves graduating from college and starting a career, I don't want them to get bogged down by toxic relationships. I want them to be free of that, and know that there are people out there that really do want the best for them. And sometimes it takes a minute to find that. But man, when you find that person, you link arms with them, and then you find somebody else and you link arms with them, and then you're stronger, and you just keep linking arms with people. So my hope is that they would not push people away, but they would just continue to attract healthy people.
Don't we
Be
all
a
need
magnet
that?
for that?
Just
Yes.
people in our lives that
Absolutely
see what we're capable of being
Yeah.
and see that for us and push them towards that direction. Suzy,
So
what do you
good.
hope for all the moms that walk through the boutique? What do you hope as they leave? What would be the feeling that you'd want them to know?
I hope that I always, in some way, imitate Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That I give them a little bit of Jesus along the way. That they would, like I said before, but my biggest things whenever I do the boutique on Thursday mornings, I'm like, I want each one of them to feel very seen, like God sees them and that God loves them. And although life isn't perfect, that they can come and feel loved, seen, and known. And that's always my hope, that they will leave a little bit stronger, a little bit more loved, and a little bit more cherished than when they walked in 30 minutes earlier.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the most beautiful things I have witnessed this year is just women loving and supporting other women.
Mm-hmm.
And the world today is very fast paced. It's pretty cutthroat.
Yeah.
There isn't, we're not overflowing with grace and love and wanting the best for each other and championing each other, even if it's not, people that have similar interests. You don't really see that, but I have seen that. At the Love Does home. I've seen that at the Love Does boutique. I've seen that at life skills classes where you have women that are absolutely sold out for other women. And it's really been beautiful. And that has been a testament to how you all have led through that and your hearts. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I'm also forever grateful for the Love Does community that has come beside this. And I don't say it enough, but as grateful as we are for those that have come beside, we need more.
We do.
And it just makes it better to have more people involved and to have more people jumping in. So how can people get involved? What's a way that they can get involved?
I mean, honestly, I think one thing I want to encourage men, women, whoever, we have some of our awesome donors that we get from our Amazon wish list are men. And so if God has put this on your heart, man, woman, child, whatever, I just think it's important just to go into the Amazon wish list. We always, literally our boutique is donation based. And so if we get 10 blankets in, those 10 blankets are going out and someone's going to sleep warm that night. And so I would say the Amazon wish list for me. And I would also say, not besides that, but you can also, volunteer your time.
Yeah. Definitely.
What are the 3 biggest needs in the boutique?
Right now, it changes with the season, but right now we need blankets, we need jackets, and we need humidifiers. I would say those are the biggest ones. We also need binkies and boppies and you name it. If it's to do with the baby, then we need that. But right now I see the things that our shelves got empty this week because everybody took a blanket, everyone took a jacket, and we literally do have 0 humidifiers. So no boppies either. Oh, good. Great.
How can people get involved, Kristin?
Yeah, if you love babies, we have babies that are so stinking cute. If your arms are empty and you just really want to hold a baby, we can provide that for you. We always need childcare. Every week we need childcare at the house. Usually we do our financial literacy on Thursday nights. And if it's not financial literacy, then it's life skills. If it's not life skills, it's moms just need to make dinner, and we would love to have you over for dinner. Or if you would love to cook, we have moms who love to eat.
How can they contact you?
They can contact me through the Love Does website, lovedoes.org. They can go on, scroll down. The Love Does home is on there, or Kristin at lovedoes.org.
There you have it.
There you have it. Put it out there.
She put it
Watch
out there. Exactly.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your heart. Thanks for sacrificing. I think some of the stuff that we do, we won't see what it we'll never really know what
For
the
at least 2
reward
years.
is for a long time. But I think that there's something deep inside us that knows that there's something really special that's happening here. And I'm really grateful for both of your leadership, as well as Melissa, who's our house mom, and some of the other people that have come alongside.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
We're honored to be here. We're honored to be part of your team, Jode.
Yes. Yes. You've picked great people.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we
a
do.
lot of smiles.
We do. There isn't anybody that I wouldn't want to spend time with anyway. So yeah, it makes it a lot more fun. Definitely.
Well, thanks for sharing today on the podcast.
Thanks, Jode.